Well, hello everyone, how are you doing this fine day? Hope you're enjoying your week, because today we're going to be ranking every single Doom boss from across the entire franchise, seeing who's the worst, who's the best, and put them in order. And there's going to be 3 key factors by which we'll be judging each of these bosses. Lore/story, of course, obviously, where do you think you are? Gameplay and character design. Now, I will say there is one thing you have to do in order to qualify for this list, and that is be a unique enemy type that do not have copies. So like in Doom Eternal, where the Marauder shows up, he's got this big health bar, you gotta fight him, it's like this whole thing, and then later on you find out that he's just a normal enemy type, he's not really a boss, and it tried to fucking lie to you, it tricked you. It's trying to pull the wool over my eyes, but I'm not gonna let it. That ain't no fucking boss. Same thing with the Doom Hunter. That goddamn vagary over there in Doom 3, I see you, you don't count either. Only unique, one-time bosses that cannot at any point in the series become a normal bullshit enemy type. So starting off, the absolute worst, just bottom of the barrel, just down diggity dog shittiest bosses in the entirety of the Doom franchise. Number 18, Calibus. Oh, fucking Calibus. I bet you a lot of you guys don't even know who Calibus is. Never even heard of him before. I don't really blame you. He's not a particularly memorable boss. Honestly, it's kind of weird that he's the worst boss because conceptually he's kind of cool. Calibus is a boss you fight in Doom Eternal, specifically in the Necrovol level. Necrovol is basically this giant fucking manufacturing facility of souls. I mean, it's a bit of an oversimplification, but more or less that's what it is. And Calibus is this big brain that's hooked up into Necrovol itself and essentially acts as the organizer and distributor of souls across all of hell. Could be really cool, right? The problem is, when you get there and you actually have to fight Calibus, he's just a turret. He's literally just a turret. He's a brain that's behind a force field, and he's got these little eyes that open up, and then the eyes of Calibus. You have to shoot the eyes, blow him up, and then you can kill him once the force field goes down, and that's it. If it wasn't for the fact that the codexes tell you about him, you wouldn't even know if this fucking thing is sentient. It's literally just a turret. I struggled before I made this video whether or not I should even count him as a boss, but technically he is. He is a unique enemy type. There's only one of him in the entire franchise, and he's very clearly harder than a normal enemy type. He would qualify as a boss. He's just not a good one. Just a little bit of advice to any future game developers out there, or, you know, current ones that are making shit today. Don't make a fucking brain turret your boss. That's just not a good boss for a video game, okay? At number 17, we have the Trials of Malagog. Those square things from the Ancient Gods Part 1 when you go into the Blood Swamp. Yeah, you didn't remember them either? Neither did I. I didn't even know they were a boss. Apparently they are. I honestly don't even know if these fucking things are sentient or if they're just like magic cubes that fight you because they're magic. There's nothing interesting about them. I mean, the only reason why I would put it above Calibus, who actually is sentient, is because at least the entirety of the trials are because of these cubes, and the trials are the point of the Blood Swamp. So basically this entire level is devoted to just these fucking cubes and doing the Trials of Malagog. You could essentially just say that this entire level is the Trials of Malagog and is the boss fight for these cubes. But it's lame. The boss fight's lame. The design of the cubes are lame. The fact that this is even a boss fight in the first place and not just, I don't know, basic fucking cubes you have to blow up in a shot. It sucks. It's lame. It's not cool. It's gonna take us a second to get through all the shitty options to get to the ones that are cool. There's some bad bosses in Doom. Number 16, we got the Hell Guards from Doom 2016. I always forget these dudes are in here. In my mind, doesn't matter how many times you ask me, I'm always gonna say there's 2 bosses in Doom 2016. You got the Cyber Demon and Spider Mastermind. Every single time I play through this game and I get to these guys, I'm like, oh, right, fuck, forgot these dudes were in here. There's nothing interesting about them. There are 3, I don't know, rock mechs being piloted by these little parasite dudes who have to fight you because you want to get into a place and they're not allowed to let you get into a place. Their name is literally the Hell Guards. If their name is an occupation, they're not that interesting. There's nothing exciting about the fight. Their design is generic. They're just kind of here because they needed a boss fight for this section of the game, and they just put one in there because the game's pacing would have been off if they only had 2 boss fights. Number 15, we have Usamare from Doom the Dark Ages. And I will say, this is not fair. It's not fair that Usamare is this low on the list, but there's nowhere else I can put her. She doesn't really do anything. She has 1 boss fight in the entirety of Doom the Dark Ages, and she shares it with another character who already had his own boss fight, and the whole point of the boss fight is for them to get their fucking ass kicked. So if you never played Doom the Dark Ages, I don't know why you're watching this if you haven't played it. But basically, you go and you fight Azrak, and you have this whole boss fight with him, and he kind of kicks your ass, and then the last level, the final boss fight, is between Usamir and Azrak again, but this time it's supposed to be just Doomguy going off on them and beating the living fucking shit out of them. Azrak already had his time to shine. Usamir only has one boss fight, and it just so happens that hers is the one where she's gotta get her ass kicked now, because now it's Doomguy's time to shine. She didn't get her opportunity in the sun like Azrak did in the same way. There is some cool stuff written about her in the lore of the games, and there's some motivation there that could be interesting, but at the end of the day, she's a supporting character of a supporting character. She just doesn't have enough to do. But I will say, out of all the characters on this list, I think that this is the one that has the highest opportunity to actually go up in the list, as she's not dead. The codexes just directly say that she does not have a real body. She's just a force in the ether. The body that she has as Usamir in the Dark Ages is a body that she possessed. She doesn't actually have a physical form. You killed that physical body, but she's still alive, and there's evidence that she's still alive when you kill her and it explodes and that energy thing leaves her body. That's not energy, that's her. She fucked off after you destroyed the body that she was possessing. So Usamir's still out there somewhere, and maybe she'll have cool stuff and there'll be another boss fight where she actually gets to like be the boss fight this time. But yeah, as of right now, she just don't have anything. She's just kind of Azrak's bitch. Number 14, Davith the Dark Lord. This is a shitty boss. This boss fucking sucks. It sucks more than even the ones that came out before it on this list because of who Davith is. He is the main villain of the entire franchise who has caused literally everything that has happened thus far in the series. There has been build up for this motherfucker for 3 games, and if you count all the previous games, it's been like fucking 6. It's been a lot. You really needed to nail this character, and they didn't. He's fucking trash. His character design is a copy of Doomguy. His armor is a ripoff of Khorne from Warhammer, and his boss fight is a shittier Marauder basic enemy fight. This is an atrocious fucking boss fight. It's horrible. Everybody knows it. Everybody agrees. And look, I get it. Hugo Martin came out and said that he actually had some really cool plans for Davith, and just the one Davith boss fight by itself was supposed to feel like a boss rush. It was supposed to be like this crazy thing, right? He didn't end up doing that because it's a DLC and he was limited on time and budget. And I totally get that. Here's the problem that I have with it though. If you knew you were limited with time and budget because it's a DLC and you can't go as far as you could in the full game, why the fuck would you decide to have Davith, the main villain of your entire story, his whole storyline, be finished in a fucking DLC where you can't do him right? Were you on a timer? Did they say that you had to fucking do this in a DLC? You could have made the final boss of Ancient Gods Part 2 be anyone. You could have had Davith be dealt with in a future game. Why were you in such a rush to do it now? You don't end the storyline of the main villain of your entire series in a fucking DLC. Who does that? And because they did, everything just feels shitty. Davith looking like Doomguy doesn't look like a creative decision. It looks like an asset swap because it probably fucking was. I totally get that in Ancient Gods Part 1 with the Samur boss fight that you have to kind of cheap out on stuff like that, but Samur Maker is not the main villain of your entire fucking franchise. This was a bafflingly bad decision, and I genuinely don't know how they're gonna get around this in future games. I'm kind of glad we're just sticking with Dark Ages stuff, because everything after Eternal is just a fucking clusterfuck of storylines. It doesn't make sense, and there's just some very shitty decisions that were made in the story and characters of those plot lines. Let's just stay in the Dark Ages for a little while, where shit's makes a little more sense. Because I'm not gonna lie, guys, that shit was just fucking stupid. Number 13, we have the Mother of Demons and the Resurrector. This is the closest I'm gonna get to breaking my rules. I'll make an exception for this one, but it's because it's not really fair for me to not make an exception. So, the Mother of Demons was a unique boss in Doom 64. Right before Doom Eternal came out, they released Doom 64 The Lost Levels, which introduced a new boss called the Resurrector, who was the sister of the Mother of Demons and had the exact same character design and all the same attack patterns. It was just the same thing. It was an asset swap. But the Mother of Demons was a unique boss for like 30 years before they introduced this Lost Levels, and these Lost Levels were done solely to bridge the gap between Doom 64 and Doom Eternal. So I can't just disqualify the Mother of Demons because 30 years later they decided to add a new level to a fucking, you know, several decade long game. Honestly, I always liked the Mother of Demons. This whole concept that there's a demon down in hell that actually genuinely loves all of the demons in hell and takes it as a serious personal offense when you start killing her babies. So she specifically targeted Doomguy and lured him to hell so she can kill him for all of her children who he's killed over the years. It's perfectly fine. It's not fucking Shakespearean or anything, but I like it. Really, the only reason why this boss is so low is because out of all of the other bosses who have appeared in the older games, they've all had redos in newer games. We've had a new Cyber Demon, we've had a new Spider Mastermind, and honestly, those newer fights are just better than the older fights because the games, gameplay-wise, are better than the older games. Mother of Demons and the Resurrector are literally the only enemies that have not been remade into the modern era, so they're just kind of at a disadvantage here. Also, the fact that they're fucking repeated and it's like, you know, Mother of Demons and then here's his sister called the Resurrector, it's the fucking same thing, has all the same attack. That does taint it a little bit, but not really that much. It's fine. There's a fucking twin demons out there that are very similar to one another. It's not that big of a deal. In the number 12 spot, we have the Icon of Sin. But Rouga, you must be saying. It's the Icon of Sin. He's so iconic. He's so amazing. He can destroy the whole universe by opening up a black hole and sucking you all into fuck who knows where. He's awesome. He's so great. His design is amazing. How could he be so low? Because he's not a boss. He's an environmental hazard. It doesn't feel like a boss when you're fighting him. He doesn't react or respond to literally anything you do. The Icon of Sin quote-unquote boss fight is you fighting a bunch of other little demons and getting resources before then shooting this big dumb asshole who's just standing there and then occasionally fucks up a whole area of the map that's a lot of times you're not even the place where you're fucking standing at, and that's it. You can really, for the most part, ignore him as a concept and just shoot him when you have the ammo, and you don't really have to worry about it that much. It's really quite a lame fight. And in terms of lore, he's fucking confusing. Is he Morok? Is that who he is? Did they take the soul of Morok and turn him into the Icon of Sin? Because I thought he existed before that. And if they didn't, if they just used his soul to resurrect the Icon of Sin, why was that necessary? Didn't they go through this whole thing about only the Crucible being capable of actually killing him and then you could just pull it out and he comes back? Why is Morok's soul tied to the Icon of Sin? How does your resurrection work? I don't understand how any of this is very confusing. The game did not clarify what I'm doing or what this thing is or how it's attached to Morok or what the fuck is going on. The one cool thing this boss fight is going for isn't even the boss fight. It's the level leading up to the boss fight where you're chasing this fucking thing around the whole city trying to catch up to it because you're on a timer. But the level itself isn't actually on a timer. I actually think it would have benefited a lot from being on a timer because you're like, no, you have to stop this thing now because it's literally going to blow up the entire universe if you don't stop it. So you can kind of just take your time and chill, but it is kind of cool seeing him just sort of walk in the background and traveling around the city. That's cool. But once you get to him, again, it's just an environmental hazard. You can replace his entire being with like a big ass wall of buttons and just hit the buttons, and then occasionally some fucking stage hazards will appear and you have to get out of the way of those, and then you keep shooting the buttons, and it really doesn't feel like a boss fight. This entire section of the game is strongly driven by nostalgia for the original game and that original Icon of Sin, who also was just like whatever. So yeah, Icon's not that great, guys. In the number 11 spot, we have Samur Maker. The only character on this list that was done dirtier than Samur Maker is Davith. They shit on Samur Maker so let me correct that. They shit on Samuel Hayden so fucking hard. Samuel Hayden was probably the most interesting character in the entire series. He was a super intelligent human that was so obsessed with helping humanity that he willingly destroyed his own humanity, pulling his brain out of his body into a robot body so he can live longer and help save humans. His decisions were risky as fuck, but he knew exactly what he was doing and he was calculating those risks. He was interesting, and then they threw all that shit out and just made him a maker, and he's not a human. All that stuff I just said, that was bullshit. Actually, it was all part of this long maker plan to fucking bring the father back and a bunch of shit no one cares about. It sucked, dude. They ruined him as a character, and his boss fight sucks. It sucks. It doesn't suck for the same reason that Davith sucks. It suffers from something that almost all Doom Eternal boss fights suffer from, which is that they don't really focus on the boss. See, Doom Eternal is a really, really well-designed game, and one of those really, really well-designed aspects is that you have to go and kill things in order to get more resources that you continue fighting, and it makes this really fun sort of murder economy to keep your streak up and your murder going, and it's fun. The problem is, that's that's the case for bosses too. So every single boss fight has to be riddled with like normal basic enemies, and you don't really focus on the fight that much. You focus on fighting all these little dudes and constantly getting your resources up, and the boss fights suffer. If you want to see a bad boss fight, see a boss fight that just has a bunch of basic enemy types scattered throughout the whole thing, because the boss fight wasn't good enough to just stand on its own merits. This game has that, but it's like that by design. While I do really love Doom Eternal, the bosses suffer hard, and Samor Maker is the worst one. You basically never get to fight Samor Maker throughout this fight. You're just fighting the environment and all of his summons. It's not really great. It's fine. It's not like not fun. It's not the worst thing ever. Like jumping around all stuff and shooting at things. It's fun because the gameplay itself is fun. But as a boss, it doesn't give you that feeling that you need from a boss, where it's like you and this other guy just mano fucking duking it out. And I mean, it's Samuel Hayden. You've known this dude since 2016. He's a big part of your character's life and the fucking games you've been playing, and it's just not really that great. I just miss what could have been. Can you imagine a world where Samuel Hayden never became Samor Maker, and Samuel Hayden is still Samuel Hayden, and he was this human who was just like, no, I want to protect humanity under any circumstances, even if I have to do super fucked up shitty things that you don't agree with, doomguy? And then he has like this kind of hate-love relationship with doomguy. It would be interesting. Samur Maker isn't interesting. Number 10, we have the Khan Maker. Basically everything I just said about Samur Maker, just not that bad. Literally all the same problems. You don't really spend a whole lot of time fighting her. She's just this drone flying through the air as you're avoiding environmental hazards and shooting her a bit while killing all the little side dudes who keep showing up because you need the resources. You get her health down, you hit her, rinse and repeat, she loses. It's fine. It's doable. It's okay for Doom Eternal that doesn't have the best of bosses when we're talking about Doom bosses. In terms of her character, she's not bad, she's just kind of boring. She's this snooty, uppity, I know better than you do at your own shit kind of chick. So she's basically like a Karen, I guess. That's interesting. Sure. She generally always says the thing you think she's gonna say. She always has the belief of the thing you think she's gonna believe. She's 1,000 other characters you've already seen before, just done again. I mean, she does have kind of a cool-ish design, I suppose. But honestly, I mean, is it just me, or I just don't find the whole Maker aspect of the Doom universe that interesting? The demons and the sentinels are vastly more interesting than anything the Makers have ever. Anytime anything goes towards the Makers, I just stop caring, because they haven't done anything super interesting or awesome with the Makers as of yet. Everything that touches the Makers becomes less interesting inherently, as proof shown with Samuel Hayden. He was so much better before they fucking turned him into a Maker. id Software either really needs to badly stop focusing on the Makers so much, or actually do something cool with the Makers. I know you can do cool shit. You've done cool shit before. Just, you know, put some of that cool shit effort towards the Makers. Number 9, we have the Old One, and I'm actually surprisingly going to give a lot of leeway to this boss. I feel like I probably like it more than most people. When doing the Dark Ages came out, everybody was bitching about the dragon segments and the mech segments, and I really just genuinely don't understand why. It seemed like all the complaints were like, oh, but they're so simplistic, and like the dragon segments need to be like have all more to it, and it's like, they're fucking mini games, guys. They're not designed in such a way that you can make its own standalone game with that. It's a fucking mini game. It's like when you played Sly Cooper, and then they would have those little mini game sections where you have to chase the chickens or something. Nobody was ever like, oh, but the chicken chasing and Sly Cooper didn't have the fucking mechanical perfection of the rest of the... No, it's not going to. The game is like 25-30 hours long. You spend like 40 minutes tops in the mech. Why the fuck would they put that much into them? They're just kind of fun. And the Old One, as a boss who is specifically meant to be a boss in a mini game, I think it's fine. It's a perfectly fine boss. I don't have any issues with it. At least gameplay wise, I don't. One thing that just kept bothering me the whole game, and it still bothers me now, is the fact that the Old One is just fucking Cthulhu. God, that's boring. I wasn't interested in seeing Cthulhu in a Doom game. I'm sorry, I wasn't. If you wanted to be inspired by Cthulhu or have like some Cthulhu-based elements, that's fine, but just like literally putting Cthulhu in the Doom game, it's kind of, I've seen Cthulhu already. I don't care to see Cthulhu. Like, you could have made that fucking giant dark god from the cosmic realm anything you wanted to. Why Cthulhu? I mean, shit, Hugo Martin, the head dude at id Software, who is currently in charge of all the Doom games, is a fucking creature and robot designer. He created the Jaegers and the kaiju from Pacific Rim. I know you can make cool shit. Why would you just take Cthulhu? And honestly, this might be a bit of an unpopular opinion, but it doesn't really make much sense for you to take H.P. Lovecraft lore and throw it into the Doom game. Pretty much everything that the cosmic realm adds into the Doom universe, the demons already had. The Doom demons were already so heavily inspired by H.P. Lovecraft, from the corruption shit to the driving people mad to the coming from an infinite realm beyond understanding where time and space doesn't make any sense. That's all the same shit. Bringing in the cosmic realm didn't really add anything to that. Honestly, I don't really know how the cosmic realm and hell are all that different. Now don't get me wrong, the cosmic realm levels are awesome. Like just the trippiness of the levels, that's really cool. But lore-wise and story and like the characters and shit, they both experiment on things and corrupt things and mindfuck things and steal the souls of, they're the same. They're the same with a palette swap. And also, cosmic realm doesn't make any goddamn sense. I understand that chaos realm sounds generic, but cosmic just means space. It's just called the space realm. Every realm has space. Why is it called the cosmic realm? It's a bad name for the cosmic realm. You could have called it literally anything else. Number 8, we have Zalgaroth. Oh god, they were so close. So close to perfection. The finish line was right there. They could see it. They were about to touch it. It was in arm's length. And then boom, face planted to the ground, fucked it up. Why? Why? When you were so close. Everything about the way they were doing Zalgaroth was awesome. Before you ever know anything about this guy, as you're playing through the Dark Ages Revelations DLC, you end up going to his realm, the Chasm of Zalgaroth, and it's the best level in the entirety of the DLC. You hear little whispers about him as you go through. You get a codex page that you get to read about him, and it says some crazy shit about him being destined to reset all of creation, and it's just unnecessarily epic for no reason. The entire DLC takes place in Purgatory, a prison that was built for the absolute most powerful, most hated beings in all of hell. And the person who was buried under the prison itself was Zalgaroth. There's so much cool build up to him. You can't even face him until you've already beaten the game. He's an end game boss. He's a boss that's harder than the main boss of the DLC and the main boss of the story, the base game. You have to collect all the different pieces of the astral key so you can open up his cell and fight him. Zalgaroth, the Imprisoned. Man, this is just gonna be so hype. This is so cool. We've been hearing about this guy for the last 4 hours, and you go into the arena, and there he is. He shows up, and he's a reskinned pain elemental. What the fuck, dude? So close. And you know what? The boss fight's really fun. It's probably the hardest boss fight any Doom game has ever had. It's the only Doom boss to this day that took me 3 tries to beat. Every other boss I've beaten within 2 tries. That's enough for me to say that that's the hardest Doom boss we've ever had. They gave him a bunch of completely original animations that no other character in the entire game has. Why would they just make him look like a reskinned fucking pain elemental? Just why? They had to have known that the build up for that boss and then going in and seeing that would have been a massive letdown. It's just weird. I really badly want to give them the benefit of the doubt and just say, you know, it's a DLC and they couldn't create a whole thing from scratch. They had to use old assets, but it is a slightly different design than the normal pain elemental, so they did have the option to redesign it, and so many of its animations are entirely unique. Just a little bit farther. Just make it, you know, give it some fucking spikes on its back. Give it 1 or 2 more arms. I don't know, make its eyes a little different. Just something that made it look unique and interesting. Give it a fucking Japanese demon face or something. I don't know. Something. Not just a reskinned pain elemental. If they would have nailed this design and made the design really cool, this would have been one of the most memorable bosses in all of Doom. But because it's just a reskinned version of a normal basic bitch enemy type, I'm gonna forget this character in a couple of weeks. And that really sucks. If Zalgaroth had a genuinely cool design, not even the coolest of all the bosses, just cool enough, he probably would have made it in the top 3 or 4 best bosses in the entirety of the Doom franchise. But as is, there's no way in hell I can take a freaking reskinned pain elemental and put him high up on a list of bosses. bosses. What? No, I'm not doing it. If you're enjoying the video, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, join the membership, and hype the video. All these things help the video reach more people and help the channel grow. I would greatly appreciate it. And don't forget, down below there is a link to the Discord. You can go over there and you can chat and talk and do all kinds of stuff. I'm streaming a lot now. I mean, I always did stream a lot, but I'll be streaming a lot more now, just because I feel like it. And when I stream, you can go and be in the streams themselves by going on to the fucking Discord chats, because I end up getting like, 10 people in the chats just all streaming together. It's just straight up open to the public, or you can watch the streams, whatever. I don't care. We're not that picky over there, really. You just do whatever you want. Number 7 on the list, we have Spider Mastermind. And this is the part of the list where I really don't have anything that bad to say about any of the bosses from this point on. There's nothing like super egregious standing out, and any real critique I'm gonna give are for the most part gonna be nitpicks. The only reason why Spider Mastermind isn't higher up on the list is because everything in front of it is gonna be better. As a boss, Spider Mastermind does everything she's supposed to do in a Doom game. She has a cool design, the boss fight itself is fun, and the gameplay is fun, and there's some cool flavoring in the lore about all of the Arachnotrons also being part of the Spider Mastermind, and the Spider Mastermind being this hive mind being that's split between all these other enemy types that you've been fighting throughout the entire series. That's kind of cool. The only real sin of this character is that it doesn't go above and beyond more so than the other ones on the list. That's it. I don't know what you want to tell me. It's good enough. In the number 6 spot, we have Gladiator, the absolute 100% best boss from Doom Eternal. While yes, all of their bosses do suffer from having a bunch of little enemy types in the fight with the boss, distracting from the actual boss fight, Gladiator is the one that does it the least. There's no, jump off the ground and don't touch the floor because the floor is lava, or here's lasers being shot out the walls, you have to constantly dodge while you're trying to focus on fighting the boss. None of that. It does do a very good job within the confines of the Doom Eternal gameplay style, which is that you have to kill little dudes to replenish your supplies, than any other boss in the entire game. It is the only boss in all of Doom Eternal that actually feels like a classic Doom boss, and he has one of, if not the absolute coolest story of any Doom boss in the entire franchise, of the whole story of him originally being a slave before overthrowing his slave master, taking his slave master's soul, locking it into his shield to torture his slave master for all of eternity, then joining a bunch of wars, becoming a champion of the demons, being so skilled at combat that he actually outlives all of the other OG Hell Knights, as Gladiator is a Hell Knight from the original Doom game. They went extinct a long time ago, but he's just so skilled no one could kill him, and outlived all of them to be the last one. This is all really cool, really good shit. He never quite gets that top echelon of all-time great Doom bosses, mainly because of the gameplay stylings of Doom Eternal that doesn't really let you be able to just have a solid 1v1. It still has the problem with the alternate dudes you have to fight while you're trying to fight the boss, which does bring it down just a little bit, but not a lot. It's still a really good boss fight, and if all the boss fights were closer to this, where the focus remained on the actual bosses and not on a bunch of stupid environmental shit and other little stupid demons you don't want to fucking care about, then I don't think that Doom Eternal would have the reputation that it has as a Doom game with not very good boss fights. Number 5, we have Creedmaker, and I feel like I'm gonna lose a lot of people having Creedmaker this high on the list. As the kids would say, this is a boss that lacks aura. His main character trait is cowardice. You wouldn't look at a villain like that and be like, oh man, this dude's real badass, he's so awesome, he's amazing. It's like, no, I mean, he's shitty, like he's pathetic. That's kind of his whole point. But in the list of different villain traits that make them despicable, there's no reason why cowardice can't be the trait that makes them that despicable. If I had to compare Creedmaker to someone, I would say he's kind of like that dude from Train to Busan, you know, the really scared dude who gets everybody else on the train killed. That's essentially Creedmaker. Throughout the entire game, every decision he makes is made with the goal of saving his own skin because he believes that he's in danger and he's a coward. You don't respect Creedmaker in the same way that you might respect a lot of other Doom villains. You're not gonna respect him like you do Azrak or even Khanmaker. He has considerably more screen time than 90-something% of the other bosses on this list. While his reasoning for doing the things that he does is very simplistic, you understand it, it makes sense. And for some reason, when it came to designing his boss fight, the creators over at id Software really went off with the Creed fight in a way that they did not have to. Like, they absolutely did not have to. His boss fights really fucking cool for a character that's not cool at all. Leading up to the Creed boss fight, you as the Doomslayer have to fight your way through his main battleship all the way to his, I mean, it's not a throne room, I don't know what this is, but this room that he's in, it's like his main room. You fight him in this main room. There's a whole first phase. After that phase is over, you blast him out the window onto the balcony. There's this little cinematic cutscene thing. He then goes into a second phase where you have the remainder of the fight. Creedmaker has 2 phases and a location change in his boss fight. Conmaker didn't get a location change in her boss fight. Why are they giving this to Creed? And despite the fact that Creed's main character trait is that he is a coward, and it would make the most sense that he have a bunch of drones come in and help him fight, the fight still somehow feels more like a 1v1 fight than the fight with any of the other makers throughout the series. It's just so baffling to me. Out of all of the bosses in the entirety of the Doom franchise, why the fuck is it Creedmaker who gets the epic fight on the balcony in the rain? But Creedmaker? Really? Honestly, the only reason why I don't have him higher up on the list is because he is no one's favorite character. He is specifically designed to be pathetic, repulsive, and unlikable. I feel like if I could put Gladiator higher up on the list because his lore is so awesome and he just seems like such a badass character, then I can do the opposite for Creedmaker for being the opposite of badass. Like, negative badass. Sadly for Creedmaker, on something like a ranking list where we're ranking specifically bosses and how awesome they are, that, you know, that kind of hurts you a little bit. In the number 4 spot, we have the Cyber Demon. Remember that feeling I told you about that you're supposed to get when you get into a boss fight? That feeling that makes you feel good, where it's just you and this other guy and you're just fucking slugging it out, just mano-y-mano, 2 badass beastly dudes beating the fuck out of each other. For the longest time in the Doom series, Cyber Demon was the best that we had at doing that. No one else even really came close. The Spider Mastermind didn't quite do it, and no boss in Doom Eternal did it. Gladiator definitely came the closest, but was held back just by Doom Eternal's design philosophy, not allowing you to actually just get in an all-out slugfest with one dude, constantly having to deal with all these other little dudes who are popping in that you need to fucking get your resources from. So, for a long time, this is what we had, Cyber Demon. Cyber Demon fight is fucking incredible. Everything from Cyber Demon's introduction when he opens up that door and fucking surprises you by grabbing you and chucking you across the room, to you defeating him and then a fucking hole in hell opening up and hell itself resurrecting Cyber Demon into a more powerful version of what he already was. It was just really fucking cool, and the fight was fun. He's dashing around, he's shooting rockets at you, he's manipulating the earth, he's doing these fucking weird argent laser side swipe things. You gotta, it's such a good fight. It's a good fight. It's the best fight in Doom 2016, easily. Better than anything in Doom Eternal. The only reason why I don't have it higher is because when Doom 2016 came out, id Software wasn't really focusing on the codexes that much. They weren't really using those codexes to build the world and the lore and the story and the characters. They were just kind of explaining things. So even though there's 3 codexes that explain the Cyber Demon, it's really just scientific stuff. It's from the point of view of the scientists who found him, and it's just like, oh, this is how his biology works, and this is what technology is inside of his body, and that's it. We don't really know enough about him to really get attached to him as a character in the same way that we know basically everything about someone like Gladiator. There are a sizable number of people who believe that the Cyber Demon from Doom 2016 is the same Cyber Demon from the original Doom game, which means he does have a history, because that version of Cyber Demon actually had a whole story with the Commander Keen franchise. So if these are the same characters, then you can kind of link his story to that story, so he does actually have like a full-fledged story. And while there was a time that even I believed in that, after going through all of the different lore, you kind of just have to come to realization that it's mostly just fan theories with a couple of references here and there. We just straight up don't have confirmation that these are the same characters. And if they're not the same characters, this version of Cyber Demon has basically nothing for us to get attached to him as a character. So I can't put him above here, but just in terms of just how good the boss fight is and how long it took the Doom series to actually make a boss fight that was its equal, you have to put him real fucking high. So, you know, number 4 makes sense to me, I think. In the number 3 spot, we have Marok. That's right, the son of Commander Valen the Betrayer, the man whose death caused basically the entirety of the events of the series of Doom. I literally couldn't put this character any lower than this spot for many, many reasons. One of those reasons being that this character's introduction into the series is very clearly id Software's attempt of stepping up their game when it comes to the writing of their villains. Marok introduces so many firsts into the series that we've just never fucking seen in a Doom game before. We've never had a villain in a Doom game that's not evil. We've never had doomguy empathize with one of his villains before. We've never seen him very clearly not want to kill one of the villains that he has to kill. We've never seen him look at a villain and see himself. We've never gotten several codex pages for a villain that wasn't just explaining to us how awesome and badass and amazing this character is, or how powerful this character is, but instead letters from the villain to his father explaining his mental state and painstakingly documenting all of his decisions that led to his fall. While I'm not going to say Marok is Shakespearean writing or anything like that, it's clearly id Software trying to go farther with their writing than they ever have before. Marok is not evil in this game. He is a guy that doesn't like that all of his people are putting all their hopes into a complete stranger who is so powerful that if at any point he turns on them, he can fucking wipe them all out and there's nothing they can do about it. And the game actually does a good job in showing you that the poor decisions that Marok make are decisions that you may have made yourself if you were in the same situation. He already didn't trust Doomguy, but that by itself wasn't enough for him to make the decisions that he makes in this game. After Doomguy is sent to Purgatory, the Con Maker specifically halts the invasion of the demons because Marok and no one else even knows that the Con Maker is working with the demons, and the Con Maker uses this opportunity to trick Marok into believing that the reason why the demons are no longer invading is because Doomguy's not there, basically making him believe that Doomguy is the reason the demons are there in the first place. This, on top of the fact that Marok already didn't really trust Doomguy, leads to him making the decisions he eventually makes in the game. This allows Con Maker to slowly corrupt his mind and turn him into her puppet, which he and his father both mistake for just stress and Marok's inability to sleep because this is his first time at war, and he is reacting in much the same way that a lot of new people who go to war for the first time do. He's very clearly got some mental anguish going on, and it's affecting his sleeping patterns and his mental state. His father gives him words of encouragement that he's like, this is totally normal, don't worry about this, but ignores them for what they really are, signs of his mental corruption. During the actual boss fight, you could see it in Doomguy's eyes. He knows what Marok is going through because Doomguy himself was mentally manipulated by the Makers. He doesn't want to fight this kid, but he knows that he doesn't have a choice. And throughout the entire fight, you could see Marok trying to fight back and regain power over his own mind, which he is very clearly failing at doing. This is all really good stuff and just very clearly shows that id Software went a lot farther in the story writing of the Dark Ages than they ever have before in any of their previous Doom games. And on top of all this cool story stuff, you also get just a cool conceptual idea, which is that what Marok ends up becoming is the Con Maker's own version of like a maker version of a Doomguy. That's essentially what she wants to do. She wants to make her own Doomguy that replaces the old Doomguy, and she does it with maker technology. So yeah, all this story stuff is really cool, but boss fight wise, you're essentially getting a Doomguy versus Doomguy fight, which is really fun, and the fight itself is just fucking good. It's a good fight. Abso-fucking-lutely does Marok get in the third spot. You kidding me? In the number 2 spot, we have Belias the Henchman. It is fucking insane that Belias the Henchman is a better boss and a better villain than fucking Samor Maker and Davith the Dark Lord. If you ever at any point need evidence that it is getting better at making their stories, that's it right there. That's all the proof you need. Now, Belias isn't good for the same reason that Marok is good. Marok is good because his writing and his story is just a step above all the other characters. Belias is good because, one, he's probably the biggest threat we've ever seen on screen. Even though he's not the most powerful character, he does the most damage to Doomguy of any other character. And if you're going to rate the quality of a villain, how big of an obstacle he is to the hero is kind of a big deal. Given that Belias is the only character to just straight up beat the living dog shit out of Doomguy in a fist fight, like literally no other character has been able to do even close to that, that is something of note. But Belias is even more important than that because his introduction into of the series isn't just important to him, it's important to the Six. Belias is used as an introduction to the Six, who are the new big bads of the Doom universe now that Davith is gone. The Six being the 6 demon gods of hell. Belias is only actually capable of fighting against Doomguy because, well, Belias' whole character is that he's just loyal. That's literally all we have of him. Belias the henchman is a loyal servant of the Six. He's so loyal, the first of the Six deems that due to Belias' loyalty, when he dies, he will not only be given a second chance at life, but in that second chance at life, he will be bestowed power by the Six. This is particularly important because the power that Belias acquires is enough to overcome Doomguy, a version of Doomguy who we just saw beat a wraith-powered Azrak who was deemed to be so powerful he was essentially a god. A fraction of the Six's power being granted to Belias made him surpass Azrak and Doomguy. This automatically builds up the Six as a threat unlike anything we have ever seen, at least in the Dark Ages. Possibly beyond that now that Davith is gone. We don't actually know what they're going to do with these characters. But essentially, Belias doesn't exist solely for himself or for, having him be cool and having him be this character that's super deep or whatever, but more so an introduction to a future villain or a future group of villains that are going to be a bigger threat to Doomguy than anything we had ever seen before. And as that, Belias does his job extremely well. Not only that, but his design is really cool. This is kind of what I would imagine it would look like if, like, one of the Flood from Halo was corrupted by the demonic corruption. That's kind of what Belias looks like. And he has one of the best boss fights in the entirety of the Doom series. And this might be the part where a couple of you guys are like, okay, well, this is starting to sound like recency bias because Doom the Dark Ages Revelations just came out and you have 2 bosses from that DLC in the top 3, and we know what character isn't on this list, so we know who number 1's gonna be. This seems like recency bias. But I argue, no, this is absolutely not recency bias. The fact of the matter is that Doom the Dark Ages and the gameplay within Doom the Dark Ages just lends itself to really fucking cool boss fights in a way that previous Doom games don't. Doom 2016 was fun and had some good boss fights, but at the end of the day, it was no different than any other shooting game boss fight. You run sideways or backwards while you shoot at a guy and try and dodge all of his different attacks. That's really it. In Doom Eternal, the boss fights didn't even really feel like boss fights. It felt like you were fighting the environment and a bunch of other characters and not really focusing on the boss. Doom the Dark Ages gameplay allows it so that you can just straight up get into the face of a boss and just really mix it up in ways that you can't in normal shooters. If you've been on this channel for any amount of time, I've been very open about this. Eternal overall, in my mind, is better than the Dark Ages. However, when it specifically comes to boss fights, the gameplay that exists within the Dark Ages just lends itself to being better ones. You can fight from far away like a normal shooter. You can instantly zoom from far away right up into their face and just start meleeing the fuck out of them, parrying attacks, blasting them with super shotgun shit. It's so in your face and heavy and awesome, and hitting people with the fucking dread mace feels awesome. And it's just, the boss fights are just so good in the Dark Ages as compared to pretty much any other shooter, because this game doesn't really feel like a shooter. It feels like you took a Doom game and fused it with a fucking DMC or some shit, with parries and counters and fights. It's fucking cool, dude. So I want you to get that recency bias bullshit out your head. It's not recency bias. It is specifically because the Dark Ages really lends itself towards boss fights, which is why the number 1 best boss in the entire Doom series is number 1, Azrak. Of course it's fucking Azrak. Who else could it be? Is Azrak's story as intricate or complex as Marok's? No, it isn't, but it doesn't have to be. It's very simplistic, but it makes sense. The through line you can see as to why a character would make the decisions they make, it all works. Prince Azrak is a young, ambitious demon who desperately wants to be recognized and elevate his position in hell. He sees an opportunity to do this when he sees that hell is struggling to invade Argent Denor because of this Doomguy asshole. So he puts his name forth to do this so that he can get on the good graces of the Six and hopefully at one point join the council. That's all you really need. I don't need to know about, like, oh, he has a fucking dying sister who's like 6 years old and he needs to get on the council because when he gets on the council, that will allow him to get the means to cure her incurable illness. I don't need, fuck that. I don't need any of that. That's stupid bullshit. Just being a dude who wants to go and make his mark out on the world is a perfectly fine motivation for a villain. By the point Doom the Dark Ages came out, we all have cemented in our mind that Doomguy is an unstoppable force that no one can defeat. He's already killed the god of his own universe. So setting up the villain as an underdog who really doesn't stand a chance against Doomguy, but is going to use his intelligence and his strategic thinking in order to overcome Doomguy, acquire more power, and take over Argentinor is a cool concept. Azrak is a cool character. He has a cool design, a cool voice. His story works. Acquiring the power of the Wraiths and getting his fucking enhanced form, which looks awesome and is so clearly a reference to Devilman, is cool. This is a cool fucking form. I think it needs a better name. Enhanced Azrak is boring as shit. It should probably be called like Wraith Azrak or Devil God Azrak or something. I think Wraith Azrak probably works because it's literally him with the Wraith powers enhanced. So just call him Wraith Azrak. Why? Like, it's just boring. Enhanced Azrak is boring. Every comic and manga and these stories have like these alternate variation forms of characters. You gotta give it like a cool sub name in front of the main name. Enhanced sucks. Don't call him Enhanced Azrak. Call him Wraith Azrak. It's better. Fuck, call him Devilman Azrak. I don't care. And not only does the story and character work, but his boss fight is fucking awesome. The boss fight that you get with Azrak, his enhanced form, Wraith Azrak, the fight you get in with Wraith Azrak is awesome, dude. It's such a good boss fight. It was the first time we ever got into a boss fight with Doomguy where we actually felt like we could possibly lose at some point. This dude actually stood a decent chance against us, and the fact that after we defeat him in this form, it's not just over and there's a whole other level where we have to go and fight him when he doesn't have that form, and then we have like this power moment where we're just fucking up this dude who was just fucking us up in the level before, it's just such a good cherry on top. That's so fun. This dude who has been so cocky, been like, ooh, my intelligence will overcome your brute strength, and then you just use your brute strength to just wreck his fucking shit in the whole last level. That's great. That's, oh my god, so good. Azrak is 100% right now the best villain in the entire series. He has the best boss fight in the entire series. He has one of the coolest designs in the entire series, specifically his Devilman form. And overall, he's so good that a lot of people who clicked on this video knew who the number one was going to be before you even fucking got here, because it was just that obvious. But that's all I have for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, join the membership, and hype the video. Doing so will help the algorithm pick up the video and show it to more people, which helps the channel grow, and I would greatly appreciate it. And always remember, y'all stay safe out there, you hear?